Hello and welcome to the Inside Stylist podcast. I'm Emma Morton-Turner and you're listening to episode 21, Interior Trend Watch with John Lewis home designer Sarah O'Sullivan. So I was really lucky to get some time in with Sarah a couple of weeks ago to have this chat and to just talk to her about the trends and how she forecasts the trends. It's mind-boggling to me how all the shops across the country come up with their own designs that are all the same trend. Flamingos, anyone? So we talked all about the John Lewis heritage, where Sarah gets her inspiration from. There were lots of bloggers mentioned, which was quite funny when she mentioned these bloggers who I knew. Quite like that. Just really interesting stuff. Things I didn't expect to come out, like bloggers, and you kind of know that there are trend forecasting agencies, but watching what's going on social media, I was surprised by that. Anyway, fascinating talk. I really hope you enjoy it. I hope you like what she says are going to be the next trends. I think you'll know what's coming. Anyway, enjoy the episode. Today's guest is a designer. She is a trend expert, and I'm very excited to say I'm in this really cool pod at John Lewis. Amazing offices they've got here. Today's guest is Sarah O'Sullivan, designer for home for John Lewis. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you.
So, how long have you worked for John Lewis?
So, 3 years now.
3 years?
Yeah.
Fantastic. And how did you get into designing?
Well, I studied a textile design degree and started working as a textile designer straight out of uni, and kind of evolved from there. I worked in textiles for a long time, but when I took the job here, it was more of a shift into trend. So, but it felt like quite a natural evolution, really, because trend was always a huge part of my job as a designer, so a product designer. So, yeah, it was sort of just kind of more focusing just on that with this job. So, yeah.
I did product design at
Did
uni.
you?
It's really interesting how people study things and then you move on to other jobs. Textile design has come up quite a lot on the podcast. It's really interesting how different people can end up with completely different jobs having studied exactly the same thing.
Yes, yeah, and it's a good foundation, I think, when you're thinking about interiors as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So how did you get the job at John Lewis? Was it a word of mouth thing or?
Well, I mean, partly, but I actually had freelanced with my line manager on Christmas, and so I came in as a designer and worked up a collection, and quite soon after that, actually, a job came up in the team, so I applied, and
you were in the right place at the right time.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, it's always the way. That's really good. And so, have you always been into interiors then? Because you focus on home, don't you?
Yes, yeah. I have always been into interiors. My first job was designing bed linen and cushions and all soft furnishing products for the home. So that sort of was a big, huge learning curve for me, I think, when I first left uni to be in the industry. So, and I guess from there it's just sort of grown and grown into,
Did you study here? Because you're Australian.
Yes.
You studied here?
Oh, no. No, I did study in Melbourne and I went to RMIT there. But I came over and went to Nottingham Trent and did an exchange. So I got a real taste of the UK and student life at the time.
My sister went to Nottingham Trent.
Really?
Yes, I got my belly button pierced visiting her once. There's a really amazing social life up there.
Yeah,
I mean,
I had a great time.
I think I've been the most drunk I've ever been in my life was in Nottingham. Nottingham Trent
Good
to blame.
Yes,
it was really good. Yeah.
So I think I after that just wanted to come back really. So yeah.
Yeah, cool. So what would a typical day be for you?
Well, I usually start the day looking at blogs and different sort of design websites, so Design, Remodelista, things like that. And if I get a bit more time, some of our trend forecasting websites we subscribe to, so WGSN and Stylists, and just get a sense of what's happening. And then I suppose the day, depending on what time we are in the season, what point we're at, I'll sort of be working on putting together the directions for the season, so what our styles are going to be, and based on our research, and or doing a trade fair report, something like that. meeting with the designers, making sure we're all sort of linking up in where we're heading, and also thinking about photo shoots and how we're going to use our trend research there as well.
So right now it's June, very nearly July. We're about to, John Lewis is about to have its Christmas in July event.
Yes.
But where are you at the moment working? Are you like Christmas next year?
I'm not Christmas next year, although that is happening. But I am autumn winter 19.
Yeah, because people think when they hear that you're like, so for example, the last 3 weeks I've been shooting Christmas. I'm about to go to Christmas in July events, but I'm also doing Halloween, and I've just shot summer. Yeah. It's like it's all over the place, and you never know where you are. But you must be even more so, being like a year in advance.
Yes. But at the same time, we're reviewing spring summer product, and so it's sort of one thing's happening and another thing's there's multiple things, but research wise definitely autumn winter 19.
Must be really interesting to kind of take the information from things like blogs and these kind of trend forecasting. I never really get how the trend forecasters can know what's happening, and if you speak to 3 different people, they'll tell you exactly the same thing. It's like, I know everyone looks at the same thing all the time, but how do they pinpoint that sequin on that top and it's orange is going to be the new trend a year in advance? It's like,
it's amazing. It is interesting. It's sort of always a bit of a mystery, but I think the more you dig around, you kind of are picking up on what's new and you sort of have to be a bit intuitive about that as well. But I mean, everyone goes to the trade fairs, and Milan's such a big source of inspiration. And there's other ideas as well that feed into it. So it's not just aesthetic trends, it's sort of lifestyle trends, mindsets as well. So it's sort of linking everything.
That's really interesting. So things like, just from where I'm at, I kind of listen to a lot of podcasts on business and things, and you hear how people, I always say there's these themes come up, and every time you listen to 4 or 5 different podcasts, they'll all be talking about the same thing. So it might all be meditation, or it might be everyone needs to sleep at the same time. You must get 8 hours, and that's going to be the way to be a really good businessman. And I'd imagine it's the same. It's kind of must be the same. You hear the same things, you see the same things, and then it all kind of comes together, and everyone is seeing them at the same time.
And it sort of trickles in, and then things really start to take off as more people pick up on that idea, I suppose.
So what's the best part of your job?
Well, I'd have to say working with such a talented team is definitely the best part of my job.
Did they pay you to say that?
Well, no. But we are all partners here. So that's such a unique aspect of our business. And I think it makes people very passionate about the business and what they do here as well. And but no, honestly, we have a really talented team.
So tell me how the team works. Do you head up the design team for home, or do you have lots of different?
So I am in the future trend team, which is within the design studio. So I work. I have a colour, material and finish specialist that I work with, and our line manager. So she does oversee what we're doing, and kind of we stay, she sort of is, keeping on top of what we're pulling together. And we do have our head of design is Philippa Prinsloo. And but she oversees everyone, and we also have furniture design, 3D, so lighting, and other 3D product, and then we have 2 sort of textile teams and a cook and dine and gifting team as well. So there's a lot of different product specialist areas, and then we sort of sit at the part that sort of helps kind of set the direction, so what we're all going to work towards.
Right, so you kind of filter your findings out to everyone, so it's all cohesive.
Sort of. It's a bit like it's the direction, it's the kind of look, so they'll take our information, our mood boards, all of our package away and work from that as well.
So trends is obviously a big part of what you do. It's everything you do. So in terms of designing products that go onto the shop floor and then people buy them, how do you think people buy into the trends without having to think, right, everyone says it's pink this year, let's go buy a pink sofa, and now it's blue, let's go buy a blue sofa? How do you kind of design products that are on trend without people feeling they need to replace everything every 6 months or every year?
Well, I think through accessories is quite a good way to do it, because I know, people aren't buying a pink sofa a different coloured sofa, or every year or even every 2 years. It's got a much longer lifespan. But definitely through our smaller products and all of our different accessory pieces, I think that's quite a nice way to update your space. And I think definitely through pattern as well. So I mean, at the moment I've just bought a couple of things from the Patternity and John Lewis collaboration. So, and just 2 pieces from that collection will really transform a space without having to kind of
redecorate.
Exactly. So I think that's probably the best way people can do it. But and it's sort of, then it can be constantly evolving. It's not a huge cost. It's just little touches.
I remember going to a John Lewis press launch a few years ago now, and PR First guy told me that the kind of growing trend for people bringing Christmas cushions out every year, and he was saying that it's becoming really, really popular. And I was like, oh, is it really? And then I went home and thought, yeah, Emma, you've got Christmas napkins you bring out every year. It is a thing that you do, so it's almost the same. You kind of can move on with the seasons, and people do bring things in and out for winter and summer and stuff. So it's
definitely.
You can just tweak things, and cushions are the easiest thing to tweak, aren't
they? Yes, it's true.
So are you swayed by trends then? Because you're seeing them all the time. Do you want to just buy new cushions all the time?
I mean, partly yes, I would say.
I think we all are to a certain extent.
Yeah, exactly.
What's your home like?
Well, I think my home is I do love contemporary furniture, but I love pattern. But for someone who worked in textiles, I probably don't have that much pattern. It's a bit more pared back, but I definitely have tried more recently to be a bit more adventurous with colour. So that's one thing. And I do love solid colours and, paint as well. Like, I think that's a way of being quite brave in your interior.
Yeah.
But, it's a mix of things, like most people's homes, I think. But, yeah.
I think it's like, as an interior stylist, when you go to these press launches, you see the new trends all the time. You see the new products, and you are always going, ooh, I like that.
Yes.
And you do want to change, but I think we have this fix where we go and do a photo shoot and we can use it, and we almost kind of get our fix
satisfied
with
that
it.
way.
Yeah, some of it creeps into the home though, of course.
Of course, yes.
Yeah. So what we're kind of working towards Christmas now, so what's without giving away any secrets, what's the next big trends coming through that... Because we're thinking that flamingos are going and cranes are coming in.
Oh, yes.
Maybe some cheetahs is my guess.
Yeah, well, I mean, interesting you mentioned that, because one of our big stories is Maximalist. And
I'm all about that.
Yes, so there is, a lot of scope for all sorts of animal pieces.
Yeah.
And quite bold colour as well. And I think people can be really personalised with how they use the maximalist trend, because it is about curating. So you can pull things together, and it's sort of an eclectic mix of things. So I think maximalist is a big one on the rise.
This is really good, because this means we can just bring all those different things that we keep seeing every season. We can just keep adding.
Yes.
And we're fitting in with being on trend.
Yes.
I'm loving that.
Exactly.
That absolutely works. You said you work with a colour, material and finish specialist. What does that mean?
So Melanie Archer is our CMF expert, and she is incredible. She pulls together amazing colour palettes, and really, she's just so brilliant at kind of translating all of the things we see, and she's able to sort of make it really relevant for us in our collections. It's a real skill, actually. And so, we work together because I look at style and she looks at material, finish and colour, and I think we just bounce ideas off each other all the time and share different blogs and images and all sorts of things. So we work quite closely because I guess it's sort of so linked what we're doing. Yeah.
So you've mentioned blogs a few times. Are they English blogs or American blogs? Is it all like Remodelista and things like that?
Well, that
English, any English ones?
Yeah, I mean, I look at Dezeen a lot, and I look at some and the bloggers as well. But there's so many. But Kate St Hill is quite a beautiful sort of simple Scandi one, and Hannah in the House, and I look at Mad About the House, and then Pink House Living, and all of the sort of big bloggers, I guess.
Is that to kind of see where, because they're all very popular, growing.
Yes.
Emily Pink House has just launched a new furniture range. It's that whole, this is where Joe blogs on the street who's watching blogs is going sort of thing, and you're watching that.
Yeah, I think
much as what they're doing that people are watching.
Definitely. I think especially with Instagram it's really changed. I mean, I look at blogs, I think, because it's for work, but I think Instagram's now even more important, really. So you know, and any serious Instagrammer has a blog generally, but it's just become the biggest sort of resource, and it's so sort of accessible to everyone, and it's on your phone, you can look at it all the time, everywhere, anywhere. So that's become quite relevant. So yeah, it's just I think and it's also interesting how you can get an insight into people, like into real homes, not just all the editorial stuff you see. Yeah.
We need more editorial people to do the blogs that people are watching, I think.
Yeah.
Personally.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah.
So with the products, how long does it take to come full circle from starting at the design process right through to it being launched and then going onto the shop floor? Because obviously you're talking about 18 months in advance that you're working on at the moment. So.
Yeah. Well, it's 18 months really, but but it does vary from product area and product. So our furniture pieces, for example, take quite a long time to design and then quite a long time to product develop. So that's quite a long process. But there's giftable items that we can be more reactive with that have shorter lead times. So that's sort of, we're designing at a different point in time for that. So it kind of depends on the product, but generally, you know, the research for home is done 18 months in advance.
Yeah, that's kind of what I thought you might say.
Yeah.
So what's the latest collection like for home? Now I know because I've seen,
but
people listening might not have seen, because I went to the press launch, so we get to see it a little in advance. But
yes.
Yeah. So you were talking about Patternity and the archived ranges as well. They're amazing.
So that's Palazzo, and so that's autumn winter 18, and yeah, I mean, it's such an amazing collection. It's really kind of drawing on that maximalist story. And, you know, we have... It's such an interesting style because, I mean, when we were doing all the research for that, saw so many different influences from all sorts of different 20th century kind of design styles. And we were lucky because we were able to sort of draw on these ideas and kind of reinterpret them.
Because you got the fabrics and the designs were archives, weren't they?
Well, yeah. So we have a John Lewis Heritage Centre, and the textile team were able to go and have a look and through all of the archive designs and draw inspiration from that. So that's quite a unique thing to have, and you know, it means that our collection is really authentic. But I mean, it was that sort of archival print style that we were also seeing quite a lot in the catwalks. So we were sort of thinking, like, drawing inspiration from fashion as well for the textiles. So that was a really fun project to work on. And I mean, we came out with a really unique collection. Yeah. But and even the furniture pieces as well.
Because it's across you had a coffee table, you had an armchair, bedding.
Yes.
And then I just always remember there was like a mirrored, like a jewellery box, but it had the pattern in the mirror, and it was beautiful. Yeah. So it's kind of you very cleverly designed it across a whole range of products.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So that piece in particular, that was an archive reimagined print. So that was a unique one.
And Patternity, that range, so it's like you've got I'm probably saying it wrong, I sound like I'm on maternity. You've kind of got that really maximalist sort of look, and then you go to like a really clean, like not linear, but like a Scandi sort of light-hearted feel.
Yes, yeah, there are sort of two sides. But I mean, we also have design project and house and croft as well, that we sort of always each season kind of have a new direction for. So we sort of do crossover. But I think our big trend story was Palazzo, is Palazzo. Yeah, so that's exciting.
Yeah, no, it's good. So is that on the shop floor now?
It's almost.
It's end of summer, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So which is your favourite piece then?
Yeah, I mean, my favourite piece is the Ferrugio table, and that was designed by Dan Rawlings, who's our furniture designer. And it was so interesting talking to him about his process for designing that, actually. When we set the brief, it was sort of about looking at different eras and all of that, and he was inspired by like streamline designs and also sort of Bauhaus styles, but even Gioponti as well. So he kind of drew on all of those different references and then created this beautiful table that has sort of this brass pedestal base and then a black glass top, and it looks so contemporary and modern, but it's interesting, like his reference points were so sort of historic. But I mean, and he also said that, you know, he enjoyed that because he doesn't usually look to those places for inspiration, but it was like finding the beauty in the eccentric. It's really interesting because it's like you're kind of almost swayed by the story of the product as much as how much it like you like the way it looks. Yeah, absolutely. Yes. And I think this had a lot of kind of story behind a lot of the product design, so it makes it quite special, I think.
So you're working at the moment on autumn winter. I've already asked you that. One of my last questions is, what do you wish that John Lewis did for homes that they currently don't? I'm trying to think if there's anything they don't do. I think they do everything.
Well, I mean, they do a lot, yes. But we have a really big assortment. I think we sell over 1 million products.
Wow.
So it's really big. It's a really huge assortment. And, you know, we really believe in it and think that we have an incredible offer. But I mean, one thing we did sort of see as an opportunity was for our and we knew colour was kind of becoming so important, and there was a real sort of revival of colour, and so we thought it was the right time to have a look at our plain colours across upholstery and furnishing fabrics. So it was a really big project, and you know, a lot of time and research was put into picking exactly the right colours and pulling together a really strong collection for that. And so for SS19, Spring Summer 19, we have 70 new fabrics coming. So
gosh, that sounds a lot.
It's a big collection, but we thought it was definitely the right moment to kind of really focus on that. So
that's very exciting. Very exciting. I've just thought of another question. So if you could design anything for John Lewis, what would that be?
Oh, wow. I think I like working with the design team and drawing on their strengths. So I think, I mean, I want to be reactive to like the biggest ideas, and I think how we draw on, you know, I think I am always very proud of what we pull together, and I think as much as possible we should work on pulling our research around how people's homes are changing as well, and be on top of that as possible, because I think at the heart of what we do is we want to be customer centric. So I think moving forward, that's something we're working on that all the time. But
that's really interesting, because I think there was a big switch, like people were spending more time in the kitchen than ever before, and then the dining room became the main focus of a home, and people were opening up their kitchen diners and stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
I have a theory.
Okay.
So I have 2 daughters who are 12 and 14, and they don't watch TV anymore.
Oh.
They only watch Netflix or YouTube, mainly YouTube.
Okay.
And they do that in their rooms.
Okay.
I sound like a terrible mother. We don't sit in the living room anymore.
Yeah, that's
so it's
so
like
interesting.
so dinner has become even more important.
Yeah.
And the way we use technology in our home is very different. We have no tech at the table.
Yeah.
But it's that whole, and I say that to friends, and when friends who have younger children are like, really? But friends who have older children go,
totally get it. Yeah.
Completely. Like I don't even sit down to watch TV.
Yeah.
So it's quite interesting how it's
Absolutely.
like, will we do away with living rooms altogether eventually?
I think that's the thing. It's sort of changing the way technology is.
Yeah.
And how that coexists in your living space is constantly evolving, but has really changed the way we live at home. So I think being as sort of having that front of mind when we're designing and researching, it feels really important for the future.
Yeah. Well, this has been fascinating. Thank you so much for your time.
That's a pleasure.
I feel kind of like I've had a cheat sheet into what's coming next. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Inside Stylist podcast. You'll find all the links from today's episode in the show notes at insidestylist.com/John Lewis.